Alright, welcome back to some StarCraft action, guys. This is actually DreamHack once again, and not our silly shenanigans that we had in the downtime. This is going to be a fantastic best of 3. It's a little sad to consider that this is the losers match, but these are two fantastic European players. You don't need me to tell you that, though, because spawning here in the bottom left corner of the map, he'll tell you himself. It is the Pink Protoss player Harstem, representing Fnatic.
Pepper writes as the Blue Zerg. It is Alliance Sortof. Sort of cool.
Sort of? Yeah, I guess. The you know, it's actually kind of sad. Of course, when back before the whole Naniwa blow-up thing, when sort of a Nani were like the guys from Alliance, I sat there remember going like, geez, this is gonna be like a real powerhouse team if they can find that third element. And I'm not talking necessarily a Terran player, but it was sad to see Naniwa disappear. Sort of kind of just like, I don't know, a waiver in the mist type thing, and he's a good player. The problem is we don't see big results from him, and it really, DreamHack would be the perfect stage for him to break out, but there's so many other really talented players here. I don't know if he can take an entire DreamHack, much less this series, because Harstem, well, every year is the year of Harstem, but he's a pretty good guy too.
Especially this year, though.
Yeah, I like the Home Story Cup, they're talking about like, it's not just like the year, it's the decade of Harstem now, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But sort of, we just really don't see sort of a whole lot. Well, Harstem, obviously, we see Harstem a lot, at least within the past 2 weeks because of the Home Story Cup. And his and his WCS match as well, where unfortunately he didn't get through. Spoilers? Maybe?
I think things like StarCraft match results have a very short statute of limitations.
You know
on
what?
spoilers.
You need to specify what has a short statute of limitations for spoilers.
Okay, no, it's not about you can't limit the spoiler itself, but it's like, okay, if you're somebody who uses Reddit, there's like a 2-day limit on spoilers, right? Like if you've been on Reddit in those 2 days and you've managed to not be spoiled, by day 3 you deserve to have something spoiled for you. That sort of mentality. But if you never use Reddit, then it's just like, dude, don't be mean. He'll eventually check it out through VODs. So I mean, it's a case-by-case basis. It's not, spoilers are not something that are just so lightly taken. I know you don't care about them, and you enjoy ruining Game of Thrones for everybody, but some of us have a little bit of class.
I've never actually ruined Game of Thrones. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay, so if at the end of it all, George R.R. Martin says, you know what, screw it, I hate the series, I'm actually literally gonna kill everybody, meteor hits the Earth, and everybody dies, you will have actually spoiled Game of Thrones.
Well, accidentally. It's like guessing that guy in The Sixth Sense with a ghost.
Dude, what? No, I'm just kidding. Alright, so I got a couple
like
things
guessing that Jack's gonna die in Titanic, alright?
He shouldn't have, man. He really shouldn't have. There's enough room on that board. Roses are... Okay. Link's getting to the base here of Harstem. Harstem is going to try and defend with probes. The Zell comes out to the defense as well. This is always a bit of a funny thing, because if players are AFK and idle with their workers, these Zerglings can actually do a surprising amount of damage. But as we saw, if he's quick to the response, well, the Zerglings don't really do much, and the probes are pretty hardy defenders.
If the pro gamer is AFK, it's away from keyboard. These Lings do get really nice scouting, and they're gonna get nice scouting. Even with the sentry popping out, like, they can run past the sentry.
So close to getting this probe. Wow.
Ooh.
That's nice.
Best Lings ever.
Yeah, get full scouting information. They'll get another round here. Harstem obviously not too concerned about this. This isn't like he was trying to hide a build. This wasn't like he had a pylon out of his base and he had to trick his opponent to thinking that there was really 3. This is perfectly fine. What Sortof's doing for Harstem, not really that big of a threat.
Well, as Ling scouts the robo. I was talking about the Ling being in there forever, even with that sentry. Yeah, the sentry's very slow. And he did get the scout on, so it's really nice for him. He's gonna take speed faster than we might see usually, but this just gives him map control, and then he can still go into Roach or Roach Hydra. We don't see Ling Hydra that much anymore.
It's a style that's hard to pull off, I think. It's a big part of why. I mean, not to say that like Roach Hydra is necessarily easy, but it's kind of the mentality of like, Sentry Immortal all-ins. They might not be the best strategy, but they're easy and work a lot of the time. Ling Hydra is kind of the exact opposite of that, where if you can pull it off, you're going to have a lot of great success, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Now, Speed's going to finish up, and there's really not a lot of harass he can do, but keeping tabs on what's going on, what's coming in and out of the base, looking for probes, all very important stuff.
can chop away at this gateway for a long time. The sentries were out of position trying to get the Overlord scouting.
I thought for a second there, Sortof's trying to do something really cool where he's trying to draw the Lings away, but he might as well just leave them on the gateway. He might actually kill the gateway. Okay, there we go. The sentry goes back in.
That Overlord got a full scout though. Saw the Robo, saw the Immortal, saw 2 more gateways on top of the 3 that he already saw. And while he didn't quite see 7 total, it's like not a bad guess at this point.
Well, that's 6 for now, right? 2 plus 4.
Well, 4 plus 3.
Whoa.
4 making, 3 already made.
Wait, where's the third one? Oh, you're right. My bad. Yeah. So
yeah.
Completely spaced over the one next to the Cyber Core, right in front of my freaking face. But all right, so 7 gates. This is going to be a little bit rough. If Sortof had a better inclination this was coming, he would have maybe thrown on a spine collar or 2. He's making units, so he's not making drones. He's not going to get caught up with his pants down. But
yeah. This is a rather fast attack, so I mean it's small. You can see that it doesn't really look all that scary, but it gets so scary.
Plus, size isn't everything, and let's not forget his force fields.
Yeah. Of course you had to do that. But sort of, I could have sworn that he...
Describe the situation without any innuendo? Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Oh, alright. Sort of saw the gateways, he saw the Immortal. I mean... He didn't see all the gateways. He missed 2 that came down later, but it's just like you kind of knew it was coming, right?
I'm surprised he didn't go for the gateway to bust it down. He got it so low earlier here on the counterattack, but this isn't really enough to draw the attention of Harstem back home. Harstem kills that 3rd base. There are some roaches out, and there's still a good chunk of force fields and a time warper too. Back on the other side of the field, Sortof's doing some really severe poke.
Yeah, I guess his plan was to just give up the 3rd entirely. It sucks he didn't pull his drones away. Could have saved those, but those do go down on the other side. And this counterattack, it cost him a gateway. It's 1 less production round. And it's getting him supply block, too.
Well, driven off back on the other side of the field. I think Sortof's... I really like the damage he did as a counterattack. Like, if he had just let rather Harstem do the damage and try and hold with all these units, I think he still would have lost. So splitting the attention of Harstem, and now Harstem not really aware what Sortof has, kind of forced to play a little bit scared, a little bit paranoid, and rightfully so, because now Hydralisks are out. All of this harass, all the attention, all the poke, the gateway and the pylon, that's not a lot of gain, but the time to build the Hydralisk certainly was.
Yeah. Look at the army supply and realize that Harstem, like a 3rd of his army is back at home. That army, it takes a fight only if it has really good force fields, and neither player really wants to bank on the other player messing up, So Harstem is probably gonna have to recall out of here just because Sortof is roaming around the map and he's gonna counterattack. He's gotta recall.
Yeah, when you're saying really good force fields, I couldn't help but think of like Zoolander, like really ridiculously good looking. It's like really good force fields. Ridiculously good force fields.
He did recall, by the way.
Yeah, so the whole army's here ready to fight. Thank you for being so impressed with that joke.
You're welcome.
This is not going so well for Sortof at the start, but of course as the force fields start wearing out, this also takes away a big amount of strength from the army. Sentries don't have a lot of damage, guys, and thank God they don't, because the force field is so freaking powerful on its own. But Sortof's not going to back up out of this. He's going to keep pushing in, and with a time over and a couple more force fields, he's going to get completely cleaned up. He had a chance to retreat there. I think he should have taken it.
Yeah, but no 3rd. He really felt like he had to, and arguably he really did have to. It was just, the attacker always is in a disadvantageous. Yeah. This is in a bad position. The attacker. Wow, you never want to attack. You always want to defend. So
that's like trying to spell beginning and giving up on the 2 G's, and you just say at the start of
2 G's.
Well, because people don't know how to spell. Okay, whatever.
Oh,
it's a joke.
Okay. All right, I get it. All right, yeah. Pretty much. The point is, Sortof felt obligated to do that, but it wasn't going to work out for him.
No, they're going to take a couple more drone losses. Shouldn't lose this hatch. There we go. He responds to that pretty nicely. The Hydra's coming back home. I mean, his army supply looks pretty nice. The thing is, he's going for the Spire. If he goes Mutas, that'll work out fantastically. If he goes Blind Corruptors because he's expecting Colossus, boy, is he going to waste a lot of money.
Or rather, Harstem being very bold with his army. I mean, there's still a very powerful Hydralisk army, especially going up a ramp is no good.
Well, there's a lot of force fields too, so at the same time, you can cut this army down to size.
It's that careful situation. Like, attacking into this is not something that either player wants to do. And there's a War Prism attack in the main, which is really nice and good damage done.
Queen should protect your young. This will actually draw the Hydras back. That allows Harstem to advance on the left side of the field once he recognizes this.
Yo, is that intentional to like just block the Zealots there? That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like the intention of the pole positioning now, but he keeps a lot of the drones alive through this, which is a big deal when you consider the fact that Sortof is still only really on 2 bases. The third one's only just recently gotten back up. For Harstem though, well, actually this is the War Prism on the retreat. Nice catch out of Sortof. He's taking his own third at the same time. He's got Colossus coming out. He's getting an army that can actually deal with these Hydralisks appropriately. I mean, like 1 Colossus, a couple force fields, there's some damage here, but I think he knew that he wasn't really going to take that third again, so nice recall. Start ticking that energy up. Creep spread, maybe a little bit lackluster, but not as big of a priority. Sortof's actually had a pretty good grasp of the game, despite the fact that he's always been fighting in these rather awkward engagements. But with a lot of Hydras, he's not really in any danger. I do like the Mutas coming out, though, finally.
I don't like that that's going to be so slow.
Yeah.
Usually you have enough bank to make at least 10 initially, and then you trickle in from after that. But now it's only 4, and he's trickling in just barely. So it's not going to be very scary for Harstem. Harstem's going to be like, oh, Mutas, let me get Blink, let me get a Twilight Council, and maybe try and get into Phoenixes even if he really wants to.
Well, I mean,
or
Blink's,
attack.
Blink's on the way, but what 4 Mutalisks can do is draw the attention of Harstem. I mean, you can't ignore 4 Mutas. They'll wreck a mineral line. You warp in some Stalkers, they'll fly elsewhere. I mean, they do take an actual amount of attention to deal with. And if nothing else, this buys him time. Maybe Harstem's starting to move out right now. Well, sort of trades out either a ton of probes for his attention, or he gets the base.
I would really like if the plan was not to dedicate to Mutas entirely, but this infestation bit being for Swarm Hosts. So he like these 3 Mutas are the last he's ever gonna make, and Harstem, of course, makes a lot of Blink Stalkers, thinks that a big transition's coming in, and then it's Swarm Host. And while we've talked about Blink Stalkers still being good against Swarm Host because they can run around, we've also seen Swarm Host players like deal with that effectively.
Yeah, as long as you're on the ball, you get some static defense down too. Get that nice wall of Spina, as it's been nicknamed. Roaches on the right side of the map actually going to do a good chunk of damage here. Just gonna get the immortal.
Yeah, that was really nice. Couple sentries, but the Muta count's still not very high. He is dedicating everything that he has into them, but it's going to be up to 15. That's not a lot.
And he can't just turn around and attack. Is the problem too. If he could just take out, neutralize the Stalkers, all of a sudden the Mutas are looking to be a much better choice, much better shape. But Sortof's put up a good fight. It's weird though, his drone count has been considerably low considering it's 4 bases. A lot of this has been him focused to just simply Mutalist dedication. This was kind of been costing him the bank behind this, but Harstem not looking to turn around. If Sortof's going to force a bank, or sorry, not what am I saying, bank, a base trade here, it's not going to work. There's too many Stalkers. The cannon's going to be quite effective here. It's kind of a desperation move coming out of Sortof. All right, well handled by Harstem. I think he made a couple good recalls that game that really influenced the victory there, but that's only game number 1 in this best of 3. Sortof still has a couple chances to come back, so we'll see what the next map's going to be and hop into it right away.